Hey everybody, it's quarantine time. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time watching, the Armchair Auteur is a YouTube video project Dom Griffin, film critic, have been doing for about a year now. Primarily, I review new films, do little short video essays about older films and trends in the industry, and as of right now, I am essentially grounded. Last time we spoke, we talked about the end of the Academy Awards and like what I thought was going to win and things like that. You can check that up here. However, since then, the country has taken a turn for the worse. Many of us are stuck inside our own homes, self-quarantining from the COVID-19 crisis, and as a result, pretty much every movie theater in the country is closed until further notice. Now, as a film critic, this has impacted me in very minor, simple ways. I haven't been to a screening in a few weeks because every screening has been canceled. I haven't been reviewing many of the films that were going to be coming out this month, primarily because they all got moved. The studios saw that people would not be coming to the movies because of this health crisis, and they moved their bigger releases to later dates to save their investments, basically. So I didn't get to review the new Bond movie because it's not coming out until November. I didn't get to review, what else is coming out this spring that I cared about? Nothing really. But all these big movies, they got moved to further release dates. And even a few months out from now, like Black Widow has been moved. Wonder Woman 1984 just got moved. All the movies that people were excited about moving into the late spring, summer season are just in limbo now. So as a film critic, I've only been reviewing films that are smaller, that are, like VOD titles, or movies that are giving out screening links to critics to watch. So I have like a bunch in the queue. None of them are films that I was even aware of before I got these screening links. So it's just different. It's a different vibe, but it's not that debilitating for me as a person. However, as some of you are aware, being a film critic is only like my part-time job. My full-time job is I work in a movie theater. I'm the general manager of a movie theater. And in that regard, this has impacted me deeply, very deeply. So as I'm recording this, it's Tuesday, I think. I don't know what day it is. It has been one full week since I've been to work. Our theater chain, I'm not going to put on blast where I work, closed up basically the day everybody else did. Pretty much every major movie theater chain in the country, including independently owned theaters and smaller theaters owned by individual owners, they're all just closed. That's just what it is. They're not open. Even in the week or two leading up to this situation, many of us were getting super slow, dead hours, just no people coming in whatsoever. So it's not like I didn't see this coming. However, it's still pretty crappy. Before I get into it any further, I do want to preface this by saying that I am fully well aware that many people in many different industries are being heavily impacted by the situation. I have tons of friends who are bartenders and servers. They're miserable. They're screwed. I know so many different people in so many different walks of life who've been, ruined by the situation, obviously. But I personally have spent the last 10 years of my life working in movie theaters, and this is a YouTube channel about film criticism, about film in general, so I thought I would just talk about my personal feelings about the situation from my perspective. So at no point throughout this, please, do I want anyone to think that I think movie theater workers are like the most impacted people in the world. I'm well aware of that, but I gotta speak my truth. A little bit of background. Like I said, I've been working in movie theaters for a little over 10 years, and I've done every job there is to do in a movie theater. Like, I've been an usher, I've worked concessions, I've turned tickets, I've been in the box office, I've been a projectionist, I've moved my way up through management. I've done like everything, like for a long time. And when you work at a movie theater, it's very similar to retail or the hospitality industry. Like, it's all customer facing, person facing. You deal with just a lot of shit, and obviously everyone's job sucks in different ways. I'm aware of that. But working in movie theaters is like this very weird, like triple Venn diagram of the bad elements of customer service. Like retail, you have sort of the base idiocy of the customer and how a lot of people just in groups of people become dumber than they are individually. You have that. And then, like the hospitality industry, it's not like they come in and buy something and leave. Like, they come and they're going to stay in your building for a set period of time, like you're going to be responsible for them. So it kind of has that element as well. And then you also have just every other different thing that could go wrong, at a movie theater. Modern theaters in general are kind of like restaurants. Many of them have bars, but additionally, they're also these exhibition spaces, and they're more complex than they seem, and they can be difficult. A lot is asked of theater workers at these jobs. You typically work every holiday. I've spent pretty much every Christmas in a movie theater, my adult life. And you work long hours, you work weird shifts, you don't really have a lot of room for a social life. The buildings are not run in such a way that there's a lot of room for people to have like special requests and take time off and vacations and things like that. You're told not to work when you're sick, but you're definitely obviously supposed to anyway a lot of the time, which is unhealthy. And it's a real difficult gig, man. The type of base human malice that I have seen in people working this job over the years is like absurd. I've had people scream at me. I saw one of my best friends get spat on. I had a guy call me a nigger because I wouldn't let him into my building after we'd locked up for the night. Just all sorts of things. You know what I mean? I've had physical threats. It's everything that could possibly happen to a person in a customer-facing job, I or my close friends have dealt with. And it sucks. It's an industry that asks a lot of the people at the bottom rung of the ladder, but historically speaking, doesn't give them much back in return. I say all that to say that it is a job, like many jobs, is made up of young, old, hungry people working together in sort of these makeshift families. Like you come to work, everything sucks, it's difficult, you're getting screamed at, it's hot, you're sweaty, but maybe occasionally management will have a pizza party. There's not much given back to you in return for what is asked of you as a worker. So when every movie theater chain of the company closed without warning and told pretty much every movie theater worker in the country just go file for unemployment and fuck themselves, many of us have just been spiraling into various forms of depression. Obviously, a lot of people are unemployed right now. A lot of people aren't working. A lot of people are furloughed. There are some companies that are even stopping their employees from being able to get unemployment benefits while they're shut down. So, it could be worse. I'm well aware. But for us, it's just, years and years of giving yourself to a place and pushing yourself beyond your normal human limits to achieve certain goals. And obviously, this is a very rare, strange situation, but still, to end up in that situation and see how disposable you ultimately are is very depressing. And the main reason why I kind of wanted to talk about this in a video is that it's not just that you feel disposable from the people who run the company you work for, because in many of these chains, actually the corporate employees are also out of work. So it's not just simply the workers on the ground. I get that. It's that when you talk to other people about it who don't work in the industry at all and who go to the movies multiple times a year, they just don't think it's a big deal. And they just kind of think you should just grow up and deal with it, And I wanted to point out just the main reason so many of us are so frustrated, okay? The movie theater industry as a business is very strange. There's not great margins like there are in other businesses. And even a very successful theater is not as successful as it may seem. Okay, obviously everyone is aware that most money at the movie theater level, goes to the studios for their films, like the actual admission prices. Theaters don't keep very much at all of ticket sales. Most of the money comes from concessions, and that's why concessions are so expensive. A large popcorn actual worth is pennies and quarters, but for you guys it's $9, and that's just how the business is run. It sucks, but that's how it is, right? Well. What is frustrating is that some of these larger chains are run by really huge corporations, obviously, and some of them are owned by individual owners. Some of these owners are pretty well off themselves, others not so much. And the disturbing trend I've noticed is that a lot of smaller theaters, some theaters that are nonprofits even, and some that are owned by owners who don't have a lot of personal capital, those are the places most likely to be trying to do something for their employees. Those are the ones where I've seen people get some kind of severance pay, or they're at least being paid for the first 2 weeks that things are closed, or they're being allowed to cash out their sick or vacation time, things of that nature. And those are the places that it would be the most understandable for them to not do those things. And yet those are the ones that seem to be the most generous. It's the other companies, the larger and smaller ones, that aren't doing anything of the sort. They just aren't. And I think many of them are not realizing that eventually the situation is going to be over and theaters probably will be reopening. I know that everyone's very terrified that like the industry itself is going to collapse in a month or two, but like realistically speaking, many of these theater chains are going to reopen. And when they reopen and people are ready to go back to business as usual, they're all going to want to leave their fucking houses. I know everyone that I know is sick of being home, and they're going to want to go out to places. And one of the places they're going to go is movie theaters. And when movie theaters are open again, they're just going to expect all their staff that they told to go fuck themselves to come to work. And they're probably going to be working crazy hours to make up for how busy things are going to be. And it's just going to be accepted. Like, that's just what you do. This is your job. Deal with it. But a lot of people are going to have a hard time going back to work knowing that they were thrown away so casually. That's bad. You know, other industries have been impacted by this situation, but like, look at the NBA, okay? The NBA had to shut down for the season, you know, because players got COVID and because people couldn't be at the games and everything. And, you know, certain owners like Mark Cuban and other guys stepped up and decided they were going to pay their arena staff anyway, because it's not their fault and they can afford to. They're exorbitantly rich. And many in the places where the owners didn't do that, players stepped up. Tons of players stepped up and were, you know, also rich people giving out their money to these people that they know aren't going to be able to survive without these games to work at and live through. And you see this all over. Tons of random rich people are doing cool things. I mean, even like Britney Spears has been like, you know, talking about wealth redistribution and trying to help her fans through like Instagram DMs. It's a crazy world out there. But a lot of the people who are most in the positions to actually help their workers are not. And in some cases, it's because it's not financially prudent for them to do so. In some cases, they just don't care. And in other cases, they're obviously trying to work with Congress to get, you know, like bailout money, essentially. The head of NATO, the National Alliance of Theater Owners, not the other NATO, has been trying to lobby Congress to get, you know, money for theater chains who are still, even though they're not paying their employees, are paying for rent for their buildings and utilities and things of that nature during the shutdown. Considering how much work NATO's put in over the years to lobby Congress to stop like the minimum wage from being increased and things of that nature, it's very obvious who they're concerned about in this situation, not the workers. And I don't know, it's all kind of disconcerting because whereas a bunch of basketball players and team owners are trying to take care of the people that serve concessions at their games, there's no similar approach from movie stars and studio heads and all the various rich people in Hollywood who rely on movie theaters to help them get rich. I've seen some people speak out and like talk about how important movie theaters are and stuff. Particularly Christopher Nolan, Edgar Wright, I believe, also came out and said some things. And they are correct. These people, you know, many of them, especially directors, have been touting the theatrical experience for a very long time and how important it is to go see movies with people on a big screen and don't watch movies on your phone, that whole crowd. And, you know, yeah, movie theaters are very important. But when they talk about it, they always talk about how important they are from the perspective of the building itself, the big screen, the high technology and everything, and the fidelity of, you know, film and stuff. They never talk about how anytime you've been to see a movie, even if you go by yourself and there's not a bunch of people in the audience and it's like a Wednesday afternoon or something, there's a bunch of people in that building making that possible. You know, the guy that sold you the candy, the person that helped you figure out how the kiosk works, all those people, that's their life. And if we're going to talk about saving the movie theaters and keeping the theatrical experience alive, we shouldn't just be talking about it from the perspective of, hey, studios, don't put stuff on streaming platforms. Oh my God, please don't let anyone watch this movie at home. We should be talking about the fact that there's thousands upon thousands of people who actually keep these buildings running who are just fucked. Like, they're just screwed. We don't know how long this is going to last. I mean, even if Donald Trump manages to convince everyone to go back to work and get sick, and we reopen, the options currently are stay at home, be safe, not have a job, or reopen, put everybody back to work, and then further, you know, propagate this virus, and then a bunch of us are going to die. It's terrible, but it's unsurprising. I just really want people to think about, when they think about any good theatrical experience they ever had in their lives, the people that they may not know or have seen who were involved in making that go well. And obviously, if you've been to the movies lots of times over the years, you've probably had some bad experiences too. Nobody's perfect, okay? But, you know, I go to McDonald's sometimes and they fuck up my food. I still want the people that work there to be able to pay their rent. I think at a time where people are talking about bailouts and helping out these giant corporations that regularly take all their profits and give it to the people at the top, it's important to remember the plight of the worker. My work just happens to be making people eat popcorn while they watch movies. All that said, I am going to be in quarantine for who knows how long. I don't have a job right now, technically. I mean, I will again at some point soon when the theater opens back up, hopefully. But in the meantime, I got nothing. So, you know, we're going to be back on the channel now. I mean, I've been neglecting it because I've been so busy with work, and now I am the opposite of busy with work. So I'll be doing more videos, hopefully more frequently throughout this time. I mean, if you're going to be stuck at home, you need entertainment, right? And so do I. I've been watching a lot of random movies for the first time in a couple of weeks. I've been very slow watching movies at the start of this year. I finally watched Cats. That was fun and weird. I watched Hardboiled and The Killer for the first time, 2 John Woo movies I'd never seen. So who knows what kind of exciting things I'm going to be doing. There will be another new video out this upcoming Friday, something that I intended to have out a couple of weeks ago, but never was able to work on because I was so busy. Now that I'm not busy, I can do it and give it out to you guys. And then next week, even more. I'll just be pumping videos out every couple of days as much as I can. So if you're interested and you like the content on the channel and you like what I do here, please subscribe, hit the little bell icon so you get notifications when I do drop new videos. Comment below of your thoughts about this entire situation. Cool stuff you've been watching during quarantine, stuff you think I should watch or talk about, suggestions, requests, any things like that. Yeah, thank you guys so much for supporting the channel and watching. I hope everyone is staying safe. Don't go outside if you don't have to. Yeah.